Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 282 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on November 11th, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing today? Yeah, I'm doing well. A lot of high explosive testing lately. It's been cool. Man, October flew by. I hope your trick-or-treating was awesome. Ours was really cool. The kids enjoyed it. It was very fun. We've been messing with PEW-SOFT HD a lot lately, as you can imagine. Been looking at the effects of reflections and also mapping some blast pressure fields for first round pop on some setups, particularly ones that I've personally hunted with in the past. I'm trying to model what I was experiencing, Interesting results so far, very cool. We've been doing some pistol modeling lately too. Which is really fun, and we're definitely going to get into that today, so you're in for a treat there. The main topic for today is the long overdue Otter Creek Labs Infinity AK stuff. We pushed this talk a week because I wanted to get PEW-SOFT HD out to everyone. And then after that, we took a break. We took a week off, right? So it's been a minute. But have no fear, AK folks. We'll dive into the two Otter Creek Labs AK tests today. Very interesting performance. The vented 762 end cap was used in those tests. Really, really strong performance from Otter Creek there. So that'll be good to dig into. The second topic of today is the new Cat Ben. Yeah, that's right. We have that subcompact Beretta 21A Bobcat test report to show you with the little Ben today. The Ben is a micro 22 pistol silencer, very small, a little over 4 inches long. And so I'm pretty sure we're going to have a hazard map for that system ready in time for the report, which I think hopefully should really help people understand the visual nature of the hazards around the shooter. With that little 22 unit, I think the spatial variation is going to be really, really useful for a lot of users. Okay, so let's get on with the show. If you've been here before, welcome back. We're so glad to have you. If you're new to the podcast, oh man, you're in such welcome. Glad to have you. You're in for such a treat. And there are timestamps in the episode description, no matter where you're listening to: YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, the website, wherever you would like. You can skip around, okay? If you like to hang around with me a little longer, I'm going to speak with you about the companies that make this podcast possible. For example, Legion Athletics, that's right. Nothing you do in life, exercise, sports, really anything is worth doing without consistency, right? You have to do things all the time if you want to excel at them, and Legion Athletics can help you with that. They have whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, creatine, which is a huge thing. I'm a big proponent of creatine monohydrate, as are most people in strength athletes, right? It's the most studied sports supplements we have known to man. Use code word PewScience. You'll get buy one, get one 50% off of your entire shopping cart. And if you keep using that code, you'll get 20% cash back every time you use the code. So I encourage you, legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. You just go there and use it. Silencer Shop also sponsors this podcast. It's the largest distributor of silencers on the planet. So Silencer Shop endorses what we're doing here at the Pew Science Laboratory, and that's really important that you should know. If you are looking to get started in the space and you're a new dealer, and you don't want to hold a lot of inventory, Silencer Shop can really help you with that. And their kiosk, a lot of consumers love it because they can use their fingerprints and photos through the system electronically, and you cut down on errors. It's really you and your silencer with no drama. Truly, silencer ownership simplified. They have that tagline, and you get money back guarantee when you buy with them, which is a really big deal. It's a lot of investment when you buy a silencer. And there's a Silencer Shop dealer out of Houston named Top Gun Range. Kyle and his crew down there they're really good people, and they're really good silencer people. And that's rare still. And they have a 15-lane indoor shooting range. You can shoot and rent all the firearms and pistols and rifles and shotguns and silencers. You can shoot the suppressed weapon systems there at their range to try them out, which is really cool. Check them out at topgunrange.com and Instagram at topgunrange. Also, Capital Armory is a sponsor of this podcast. They're a very large NFA dealer here in Texas. And like Top Gun, they're actually real gun guys and real silencer guys. Like, they don't just play one on TV, right? Like, they're actually, like, so to speak, they're legitimately sick for it, just like you guys are. Okay, they're really into the stuff. They'll shoot you straight. They have a system at Capital Armory where you can have the silencer shipped directly to you at your house. So if you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, please, if you need that and you work nights, you don't have time to go to the gun stores and stuff like that, hey man, you might want to hit Capital Armory. They'll walk you through it. Okay, it really is that easy. And finally, the podcast is brought to you by the Pew Science Laboratory. We're approaching our in the first quarter of next year, we'll be approaching our 6th year of public operation, which is really cool. I'm the technical director of the lab. It's good to meet you. And in the interest of public education, we've chosen to continue to sponsor this podcast, run a public research effort. Our goal is to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. I believe we have done so with your help. And you can visit our website at pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest, most accurate hearing-safe rating for your suppressed small arms, based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before the combustion takes place all the way to all the combustion is gone. And the PEW-Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. We now have 8 sections in the standard. There's 8 now. That's right. It's the most in-depth and accurate silencer data analysis on the entire planet. And it's all available to the public 24/7 at PEW-Science.com, and you can support us, which would be really great. You know, PEW-SOFT HD and the silencer hazard maps. The only way we were able to do that was with member support, and you guys can support efforts like that and for the good of an industry by supporting PEW-Science for only pennies per day. It's really cheap at PEW-Science.com. You just go to join with a membership. It'd be awesome. You get more data if you do too. And if you're not into that, that's okay. I know, the economy's wild right now. If you want to give a one-time donation, you can do that too on the review page of the podcast page. And you know what? If you don't want to give any money, which you definitely don't have to, I mean, you can get all the data free online. If you don't want to give any money, don't. We ask that, spread the words about all this stuff, and let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Normalize the use of suppressed small arms. Let people know PEW-Science is around. We want to help people. That's our goal. All right, cool. 2 topics for you today. Like I said, we're going to hit topic 1, which was a Sound Signature Review 204, Arctic Labs Infinity on the AK, and 2 tests, 2 AKs actually. And then topic 2 will be the Cat Ben, and I'll have some extra special stuff for you there too, so you can have a good time. Let's move into topic 1 intro at a time of 7 minutes. 43 seconds. Yeah, I know that was a long intro, but it's good to be back, guys. I was gone for a week. Did you miss me? I needed a break. It's really busy, so I needed a break from this job. Dude, doing only one job in a week is it feels like you're on vacation. So Sound Signature Review 204. Arctic Labs Infinity on the 16.3 inch and 12.6 inch AK systems. This is one of the most characterized silencers by the PEW-Science Lab. And we did these 2 tests. That brings the total amount of Infinity record numbers in the rankings to 11. As Spinal Tap would say, this one goes to 11. In this test program, we use the vented 7.62 end cap exclusively per Otter Creek Labs request. And we give you an intro talk several weeks ago on this when we published the report. I think on 22nd October we published it. So now we're 11 November. So we're quite a bit past this, and maybe it's a good refresher for you, those of you maybe who didn't check it out, or those of you who've been waiting for this deep dive. That's what it's for. And what we'll do, I'll break this talk into 4 subtopics. We'll go with an intro and look at the performance overall, and then we'll do a subtopic each on each host of the 16 and 12 inch barrels, and then I'll give you some overall thoughts. Okay, that's what we'll do here. And this is just to give you a broad overview, and I have the Infinity here sitting in front of me on my desk. It's a very solid silencer, very strapping young lad, very, very strong, very stout silencer, but not overly heavy, but very good. It's a resilient system. I would call it a resilient system. It's a hardy system, and it just won't go away, will it? Just when you think we're done with the Infinity, it comes back. In all seriousness, though, it's a very versatile silencer. It's a very high performance silencer. and it's also adaptable to a variety of uses. One thing that is really neat about the Infinity, I think, is that it's definitely a go-to-war type of system. You're not going to break it. You're really not. Most people don't need that, but this thing can take abuse that most silencers can't, and so that's pretty neat, I think. And given that it's a 7.62 silencer designed for 5.56 and 7.62 and all kinds of stuff, it comes in handy, if you want to put it on your machine guns or your FRTs or your super safeties or whatever, the kids are using these days. And I think that probably, I think this is true. I'm not 100% certain, but I think it's true. I think that probably AKs would be more popular right now if the overseas ammunition was still cheap and plentiful, around everything. And I think in that case, folks would really scramble to shoot a bunch of cheap ammo through an Infinity on an AK. I think you would. And I would guess. And I mean, why else would you want an AK? I'm just kidding, AK guys. Don't be too mad. But really, what's the allure of it if the ammo's not cheap? What you want to have bad ergonomics? AKs are interesting in that they're long stroke piston driven Soviet era guns. They have a history to them. I appreciate that, and I think they're pretty to look at. I do think they're gorgeous with wood furniture, and regardless if you enjoy shooting AKs, you have to respect the game, and you got to respect them as a system. One of the most popular systems on the planet. I think that's important to note. I know we love our ARs here in America. Praise be to Stoner. Praise be his name. But the world's a big place, and America is not the only country in the world, theoretically. So, this test report looked at the Infinity performance on two Bulgarian systems, the 16.3-inch barrel and 12.6-inch barrel systems. They're Arsenal AKs, Bulgarian imports. Okay. If you are doing AK stuff, I struggle to think you would shoot from a 16-inch barrel. It doesn't seem right with a silencer to me. I feel like you would go 12-inch. From this testing, if you're an Infinity owner, it looks like there's literally no reason to use a 16-inch barrel over a 12-inch barrel unless you can't have an SBR, but that's ridiculous. So let's get into why. So, let's take a look at the overall performance. And what we'll do, and by the way, it's report in section 6. It's report 204, so 6.204 on the website. You can pull up the full version if you're a member, or the free version if you're at home. No man, woman, or child left behind. I would like you, if you would be so kind, if you were following along, pull up the report now. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the first part here. There's a lot of sections, but you can look at the first 204.1 section here. I want to look at the overall performance in the first section of the report. If you look at the rankings in the standard, and you can open another tab on your browser if you want, and you can do this too, where you can look at the rankings in section 7 in your table there, and sort, find all the Infinities in the silencer drop down. We have 11 Infinity data points now. And specifically for the vented 7.62 end cap configuration, we now have 5. 5 of those data points are this configuration that was tested here in this report. So 5 records in the rankings directly applicable to this specific configuration of the silencer. And interestingly, you'll see that the shooter's ear suppression rating is highest on the bolt gun in that table. So if you go to the rankings and you go to, let's see, I will select only the Infinity 7.62 vented. That's an easy way to do that. You just find it and hit only. And there's 5. And if sorted suppression rating at the shooter's ear descending, you'll see that the shooter's ear suppression rating is highest on the bolt gun. Why? And by bolt gun, I mean 308 bolt action. It's the long barrel, and there's no ejection port blast. Okay, now, as you look at how the shooter's ear suppression rating starts to decrease in these 5 tests of this silencer configuration, you'll see that the shooter's ear suppression rating starts to drop, or the hazard to the operator starts to increase as dwell time gets higher on the semi-auto hosts, and it stays within 2 points or so on every semi-auto host, and that's very interesting performance to the shooter there. It's very consistent with 5.56 and 7.62 This is something to really pay attention to, guys. Okay, not all silencers will behave like this. I say this is important to understand. And, it's not often you have this much data analysis on a silencer. In fact, you never do unless you come here. Okay? So at the muzzle, in this configuration, your best performance is on the M4 and the short AK. You can short by muzzle suppression ready descending. The best performance would be on the M4, the 14.5-inch barrel, and the short AK, and then it drops off as you lengthen your barrel with 7.62 or shorten your barrel drastically with 5.56. Isn't that interesting? So what does that mean? It means that the system is sensitive to input pressure, but if you reduce the duration or the total impulse, you can really get some efficiency. And I think that the short AK is the sweet spot. It's the Goldilocks zone for this configuration of the silencer. One moment. Sorry about that. I think the short AK is your Goldilocks zone here. And so now, we move away from the rankings here and go back to the report here. Now you can scroll down in 6204.1 in the report, and there's 2 bar charts right there for you, front and center, figure 1 and figure 2. So look at these plots. On the left, it's the 16-inch AK, and on the right, it's a 12-inch AK. And it's 16.3 and 12.6, but I'm for brevity, 16 and 12. These 2 charts in the report are going to help you get a quick answer if you really want to know what the Infinities do in big picture compared to 2 really good peg points: the ever-present Dead Air Wolverine and the new Zostava Zivuk. Okay. With the 16-inch barrel, full-size gun, long dwell time, it's crushing the Wolverine and the Zivuk at the ear. And it's only marginally more hazardous than the Zivuk at the muzzle. So that's a huge, huge win for the Infinity objectively. Now let's move to the 12-inch barrel on the right. On the right there in the right graph. Now you're going to increase that pressure on the AK platform because you're moving to that 12.6-inch barrel from 16.3 inch. So you're increasing the input pressure from the barrel into the silencer. You're still 7.62 by 39, same ammunition. So nothing wild differentiation other than the in pure muzzle input than the blast pressure. But now the Infinity can really take advantage of its entire annulus with high pressure and not get overwhelmed doing it. Why? Well, it's not 308, is it? It's not 308. Remember, I don't know, just like as an aside, you guys need to know that the Infinity was really, I know it's a 7.62 silencer, but their 5.56 performance was a huge goal for them. If you're really wanting intermediate rifle cartridge performance to be high with a silencer and you move to another intermediate rifle cartridge, you should probably expect pretty good performance. You're not moving intermediate to full rifle cartridge. No. We already saw 308. That kind of overwhelms this configuration. We're not talking about that. We're talking about 7.62 by 39 and increasing input pressure with that. Infinity tends to really like it. It doesn't get overwhelmed. And you start to really pull away at muzzle and ear suppression rating here compared to the Wolverine. I mean, it's scary how much better it performs. You don't sacrifice anything moving from long barrel AK to short barrel AK with the vented 7.62 Infinity, and that's a big statement, and it's really cool because the performance differential between that and a Wolverine, guys, I cannot emphasize how significant it is. It's a different sport. The risk profile to the operator and through the entire sound field, the entire pressure field, it's just so different between the 2 silencers. It's almost staggering. You should be flabbergasted looking at that. Putting the Wolverine on a short barrel AK looks really cool. Like aesthetically, amazing. The drip is palpable. Like I 100% endorse the drip. It is amazing looking. I think it's really cool. I think they got the look right. I think Dead Air's done the best job when it comes to AK silencer aesthetics. I think theirs is the winner when it comes to how the silencer looks, 100%. But when it comes to objective personnel protection and performance, it's really not awesome at all compared to the Infinity. And, all this stuff is relative, right? Like, if you only see one system, maybe ignorance is bliss, right? Then you start to test more stuff, and, you do this for almost 6 years, and you figure out just how different performance can be, and then all of a sudden people get upset. It's like, well, it took a minute. It took a minute to figure it all out, and I tell you what, man, differences like this, whenever I see a difference like this, like in figure 2 of this report, just squint your eyes, don't even look at the words and look at the bars. This is designed to be easy for you to digest. When I see differences like that in a metric, I don't think it's something to take lightly. I mean, a muzzle suppression rating of 32.4 versus 16.7, drastically different in severity. I hope those speaking of severity, I hope the hazard maps are giving you guys a feel for these comparisons too visually. I think doing maps for things like AKs might be cool. Maybe put this in perspective. Maybe I'll do that for you. Yeah, I'll show you. Right now, I don't even think you need a map to understand how the freaking difference between a Wolverine and an Infinity. You know what I mean? One second. I think you don't even need a map right for this. So we're gonna come back to the comparisons with the Zostova and the Dead Air stuff, but I just want to talk about this up front in this intro just to let you understand like where we're sitting. Okay, so now we're gonna get a little deeper. I want to go into specifics now, and the 16.3 inch barrel system performance at a time of 21 minutes and 40 seconds. Okay. So 16.3. So now you can scroll down in the review to 6.204.2. Or if you want to, you know what? Actually, I'd take that back. Scroll all the way to the top so you can see the color graphic suppression rating chart. Bottom line up front, 31.1 muzzle suppression rating, 1 meter left of the end cap, 1.6 meters above the ground in the true free field. 23.4 ear suppression rating, 6 inches right of the shooter's right ear. That brings us to a composite rating of 32.1 on the Arsenal SAM-7R Bulgarian AK. Okay, so AK fans. Oh, and I should say Hornady American Gunner 123 grain 7.62 by 39 ammunition for the record. AK fans. So now you see there's some light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to the shooter hazard. Right? I know you were getting scared. You were getting scared. I know. I could sense it. I could smell your fear. You were getting scared for a minute. Because with this really long, this long dwell time AK, first you saw the Wolverine, you probably panicked, and then you saw the Zostova, and you're like, oh my god, and then you see this, we're edging into the 20 zone, and I know it's not high, but boy, it's higher than what the Wolverine or the Zivuk, and that's a big deal. And at the muzzle, it's sitting pretty well too, which is good. So let's get into that, okay? So now you saw the thing at the top. Now scroll. I know I'm taking you all over creation. Now scroll down to section 6.204.2 and scroll down past the big table with the numbers that scares everybody and go to figure 3. Comforting waveforms, comforting clean free field data for you. We'll look at blast overpressure in the free field. That's right, 3A. You can click and make it bigger if you need to. Something common to this configuration of the Infinity across platforms is the expedient blowdown. The great thing about the Infinity with its vented end cap on this particular host is the amplitude is kept relatively low. Before we get into that, though, I want you to look at, in figure 3A, look at that big old AK bolt carrier hitting the rear of the receiver in the first stroke around 55 milliseconds or so. That's before it comes back into battery later. AK signatures are really interesting. They're very severe. The action noise is very significant. Okay, so now look at figure 3B. Oops, I hit my microphone. It's all weird. So I'm sorry. Look at figure 3B. This is the blast load coming out of the silencer in early time. Here we see the first round pop of the system and the way it manifests. And, it's just how part of how the Infinity works. The reason the Infinity's first round pop signature looks the way it does is because of the way the vented end cap system works. This is an active venting scheme hybrid design, and I know that's a little bit of a misnomer if you're really used to active and passive blast wave attenuators, but humor me, physicist people. There's a method to my madness in description here. I'm calling this an active venting scheme hybrid design. And if you would like to know why, look at research note 2 in the report. There are other systems that do similar things, like from Knight's Armament or from CAT. But those systems do this without an end cap change. Otter Creek, what they've chosen to do, and the way for the function of the silencer, they've chosen to brute force some of this with end cap change, which it has some pluses and minuses. Okay, I'm not saying it's good, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's better or worse than the PRT technology from Knights or the surge bypass technology from CAT. I'm just saying it's different. And the difference in technology is really big because when you physically change an end cap, you're really doing some major variation to how the silencer works, particularly in the case of the Infinity, where the different flow paths in the silencer are activated based upon the end cap change. In the Knights and the CAT silencer, you get what you get, and the silencer has to work passively without user intervention. When you change the end cap on the Infinity, you're actually creating multiple silencers. Is that cheating? Well, it depends on your definition. Okay, so back to FRP. In figure 3B, you see it ramp early like that because there's nothing to stop it. I know that almost might sound like a cop-out in an technical explanation. I know it sounds simple, but it's very true. Due to the nature of the way the Infinity works with the vented end cap, this is what you will get. And now post-FRP, post-FRP, well, you're going to have a great time. You're really consistent. Take a look at blast impulse or momentum transfer potential in figure 4, if you would like. Now, that's below there. In figure 4, you can see that it calms down in shot 2, and then shot 3 actually is fully stabilized, and it should be there all day after that. If you're shooting a 30-round mag, shots 3 through 30 should be really similar, and that's nice. Now, it is going to get hot, and you're going to see some variation eventually in that string, but you know what I'm saying. It's going to be pretty. It shouldn't be. I just thought, what if you're using old surplus ammo? No, should still be pretty good. So I hope that helps. We talked about early on in the last subtopic, we talked about how the Infinity compares to the Wolverine and the Zostov Zivuk in broad strokes, right? But there's also something else you can do with the suppression rating, isn't there? Yeah. And that is in research note 3 of the report. In the blast pressure field, in the free field, specifically 1 meter left of the end cap, the Infinity on this particular AK with this end cap, the vented 762 end cap, gives personnel risk or induces personnel risk similarly to the silencers on the list in research note 3. You want to go through them? Let's do it really quick. So this means what I'm about to tell you is that you shoot the Infinity on this gun with the vented 762 end cap, and then you shoot the systems I'm about to tell you, and 1 meter left of that end cap in the free field, you should be as close to as dangerous to people. Okay? First one, Sylvan Arms SA223 TIS on a 14.5-inch 5.56 M4. Yep. Okay, so that's a 14.5-inch 5.56 semi-auto. Interesting. Thunder Beast Ultra 9 on a 20-inch 308 bolt action. But you didn't think I was going to say that. Boss Silencers Guillotine on a 10.3-inch Mark 18. That's completely different. Silencer Central Banish 30 gold, to qualify that, on a 20-inch bolt action 308. Off-grid Suppressors Trident TI on 20-inch 308 bolt action. And finally, the Otter Creek Labs Polonium K on a 10.3 inch Mark 18. I gotta clear my throat. I'll be back. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. So yeah, Polonium K. So you took something else from Otter Creek. Polonium K on the Mark 18, 1 meter left of the end cap is similar risk. Cool, right? Isn't it cool how you can take those systems that no one else would tell you would be similar at all, ever in risk, to this system and literally list them on a page in public, like with references? The only way you can do that? Suppression rating. Universal risk metric. Yes. Who else is going to do that? Dang it, man. I'm fighting the battle here. Who else is going to risk being wrong? I want to see it. Show me one person. This is the power of this, guys. You're taking an AK with a silencer, and I'm telling you, a Thunderbeast Ultra 9 on 308 bolt gun of 1 meter left is going to give you similar risk. I'm telling you. So I'm telling you, that's what it's for. That's what the suppression rating does. Cool? And when you see these hazard maps, I want you to understand that. Okay? Okay, we're not talking about peak decibel. Right? We're talking about analysis. We're talking about engineering analysis of what's coming out of the gun. All right? Now, the shooter's ear data analysis only for members in that full report, so please check it out. Members, you're going to see some very different behavior than what you saw with the Wolverine. Please look at it. It's crazy. Be sure to check them out if you're a member. The Affinity with its vented end cap has very low back pressure, which is very important for shooter risk. That's right. Okay, so what we're going to do now, in our next subtopic, we're going to check out what happens when you cut the barrel length down to 12.6 inches from 16.3, and you really shorten that dwell time too in a combination. Okay, we're going to do that at a time of 32 minutes and 7 seconds. I apologize for all that coughing, guys. This time of year, my kids are sick, and it's the whole thing. So 12.6 inch performance. This will be section 6204.3. Okay, so I want to frame this for you to really understand. Not only have we increased the blast input pressure into the silencer, because that's important, but we've also shortened the dwell. We've also shortened the dwell time. We've also we're shortening the dwell time of the piston gas system, and we're doing it so significantly. And that really changes a lot of the blast dynamics. It actually changes a lot of the weapon dynamics, and I can't overstate how much it does change that. Immediately, you're going to see that the major change is blast amplitude in the free field. Check it out in Figure 7A. But there's a nuance here in that you're going to notice it's not extremely different. And the Infinity is actually behaving very similarly to how it did on the longer barrel. Because the Infinity likes high pressure, you're going to see a much shorter duration in the positive phase impulse in Figure 8A. And the gas is coming out faster. The momentum's decaying faster. You're using a lot of the silencer due to the higher pressure. The suppression rate at the muzzle is actually nominally higher. It nominally increases. You went from 31.1 to 32.4. So it's not an extreme increase, but the fact that it's nominally higher and it didn't decrease is a really big deal. It's a really big conclusion. Because if you compare this performance to that of the Wolverine, it's just wild. Because the Wolverine went from 23 at the muzzle on the long barrel to 16.7 at the muzzle on the long barrel. This one, the pressure field actually gets nominally better right there. Remember, there's all kinds of stuff happening because you have different ejection port blast, which is eventually reaching it because it's a shorter dwell time. So you understand, there's a lot of things going on. That's why these hazard maps are really... We're not showing you a hazard map of this AK stuff. We didn't have time to put that together right now. But what I'm saying is, all the people who look at these suppression ratings and they throw stones at them, and they're like, oh, those are just made up numbers. It's like, well, they're not made up. They're definitely calculated, and I think the hazard maps are really going to help you understand just how complicated this is. Because what we did with this test is we shortened the AK barrel, but your gas system changes. What, you think that the ejection port blast just is there by itself and there's a wall and it doesn't impact anything else? Guys, 3D space. You live in 3D space. Blast loads expand in 3D space. All right, so you compare a Wolverine moving to a short barrel AK to something like the Infinity. Dude, the Wolverine's primitive. The Otter Creek Lab silencer it's almost, yeah, it's only 5 years newer. I think it's decades newer in technology. So you shorten this AK barrel. The Infinity gets more efficient, gets more consistent, which is also cool. Definitely a Goldilocks zone moment. Very interesting performance. And again, because you don't have a ton of data to compare this to yet with the AK, you know what you can do? Say it with me. Use the suppression rating. It'll give you good peg points. Check out Research Note 11. That's right. I put it in the article for you. Research Note 11, we're going to do the same thing we just did for the 16.3. Okay, we're going to go through the systems that have similar risk to shooting an Infinity with 7.62 vented end cap on this short barrel AK 1 meter left of the end cap in the free field. You ready? Okay. Combat Application Technologies CAT KK on a Mark 18. Oh. Yep. That's right. Able Company Theorem L on a 20-inch 308 bolt action. Yep. 4 Systems Monarch Recce on the Mark 18. Yep. Now here's one that's wild. The Sig Sauer SLH 300 Ti on an 8-inch bolt gun with 300 blackout subs. That's how loud that Sig silencer is. That's crazy, right? Another one, PWS BDE, the long configuration, the BDE 762 on the 308 bolt gun. And finally, something very familiar to you, the Infinity with its vented 5.56 end cap instead on a Mark 18. Interesting how they're similar. Like, intermediate rifle cartridge, you say. Vented end cap, you say. Huh. It's almost like we've been telling you how the silencer works. Cool, right? I hope that helps you. We could do hazard maps for all these systems and show you why. Are the hazard maps going to be the same shape? Well, no. Are they going to be similar in risk at that point? Well, yes. Now you know what suppression rate at the muzzle means. I've always told you 1 meter left of the end cap in the true free field. Come on. They say that people have to hear something like at least 3 times to take it in. So if I'm repeating myself, it's on purpose. Okay, cool. Very good. So members, please, again, just like the other test, you can see the shooter's ear data and analysis in the report, in the full version. We thank you for your support. This is for you. You're going to see something really desirable in this one, and I think you're really going to like what you see on the 12.6-inch barrel there with the Infinity. That dwell time, boy howdy. You shorten that dwell time, buddy? Ooh. We're going to talk about that in the next subtopic. Okay, I'll give you some overall thoughts at a time of 38 minutes. In 35 seconds. All right, 1 second. My desk is crowded here. Some overall thoughts here about this Infinity. Look at figure 11. The combined bar chart here. This is your whole AK playing field, all the published AK stuff in one chart. Now, you got to be careful looking at it. And to help you be careful, the entries on the left there are labeled with which gun and barrel they're on. So remember, these are different guns on the same chart, so you got to be careful what you're looking at. But it's important. It's still useful to you. If you want to look at the same gun on the whole chart, those are the first 2 figures in the report that we already talked about. That's at the very top. But this is everything. So it's the same data, but it's presented differently. Okay? In the text below the figure, we go through the bystander risk similarities that I just explained to you in the previous subtopics. But also below this figure, there are operator risk similarities from each barrel length. And these are, let's talk about that, okay? And even if you're not a member, these are still in the free version of the report. So first, I want to talk about the 16-inch barrel and what an operator can experience in the free field in risk space. With shooting. Okay, you have a stock 16-inch Bulgarian AK. You're super happy. You verified concentricity. You put your infinity on the end of it with a vented 7.62 end cap, and you're like, dude, I can't wait to shoot this. I have a bunch of other silencers. My buddies have let me shoot their silencers. What can I expect? I haven't tuned my AK yet. What can I expect with it? And we're going to shoot my friend's field. He has a bunch of land. I don't. We went out to the country. We're going to shoot. What can I expect with regard to risk? You might ask yourself. I'll tell you. The operator will experience similar risk to taking a Huxworks HXQD 556K on a Mark 18, a Cat T-Swift on a 14.5-inch M4, the same infinity with a solid 556 end cap on a Mark 18, a Knight's Arm and NT4 on a Mark 18, or a Knight's QDC CRS PRT on a Mark 18. Similar risk with regard to blast overpressure hazard. Maybe not due to toxicity, but let's just, okay, for the purposes of argument, this is suppression rating. Okay. Interesting. So I named some things that sounds kind of dangerous to you, didn't I? Well, yeah, I know. So now let's shorten the dwell time and go to a shorter barrel with the Infinity with this configuration. Now, how safe are you in the free field as the shooter? Well, now you're more comparable to the Griffin Armament Explorer EX3 on a bolt action, or the 4 Monarch Recce on the Mark 18, or the CGS SCI 6 on a Mark 18, or even the Infinity 7.62 vented end cap itself on a 14.5-inch M4. You see. Interesting. Yes. Your risk has dropped. It's a pretty big deal. Highly efficient hybrid silencer with short dwell time guns, that's a recipe for good shooting. Objectively, this is an opinion. Okay, we're lowering your risk. We're making you safer objectively. Now, we're not getting to the 30 zone, but, got to walk before you run. We haven't even tuned the AK yet. And, again, this might start to really explain what people are saying about using those K&S pistons and stuff with short barrel AK. And, could that be the holy grail for AK suppression? You use a tuned piston, with a really efficient hybrid design. Is that silencer? Is that the holy grail for AK suppression? Short dwell time and tuning the piston system. Is that what you want to do? I mean, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves and start to claim that or anything, because we don't know what it's going to do. We haven't tested it, but I feel like it might be good to check out. You feel me? You understand what I'm saying? So all in all, again, this is the 11th Infinity data record, and it makes 5 data records with the silencer in this specific vented 7.62 end cap configuration. This silencer is one of the most characterized silencers publicly by PEW-Science. I would say that probably PEW-Science has more data on the Infinity than anyone in the world, other than Otter Creek Labs themselves, of course. I think we have more analysis than they have on it. And I have some final thoughts on it. Well, I'm saying final, but at least final until we test it on something else, which we probably will. So this is probably not the last Infinity report. If I know Otter Creek, I bet you're going to see more. This is some subjective, they're subjective. Here's some of my subjective thoughts based on objective observations. I think it's a solid silencer. I think it's really versatile. I think it does well on a lot of different platforms, which is better than a lot of so-called universal silencers are. I think with the Infinity, you do compromise performance sometimes, but not nearly to the degree you do with a lot of other stuff and a lot of other silencers. And due to the strong performance areas it has in its different configurations, coupled with the adaptability and the durability, I think you can make the case that it's one of the best machine gun silencers for a lot of machine guns you may own. That's if you consider silencers out right now. I mean, it's a really solid machine gun silencer. I think it's going to last a long time. I think it's going to perform really well. I think they really hit it out of the park here. I think if I had one complaint about the blast dynamics of the Infinity, it's probably going to be the first round pop on various platforms. But, that's the devil's advocate position. But then, in the defense of the Infinity, well, it's not really a silencer for super stealth mode now, is it? It's for beating the heck out of and shooting a ton, and it just performs so dang well, in that class. And so I'm willing to bet a lot of folks will forgive the FRP on several platforms. They're shooting so many rounds, who cares? This isn't a freaking full Nelson on a minifix, okay? You know what I mean? Now it's heavy. But yeah, I mean, it's going to war, machine gun, mag dump in the trash, dude. You're not. Who cares? What? You lift some weights. Legion Athletics, Cobra Pew Science. Go get some creatine and go to the gym. Anyway, you kind of want that thermal mass too. So if you're looking to save weight, well, you're shopping for the wrong silencer because you don't even need an Infinity. Okay. You understand? There's different strokes for different folks, and also different silencers with different applications. Come on, look what you're getting. Look what you're trying to do. If you're trying to put it on a, and you're going to hunt elk in the backcountry, well, don't use an Infinity. I mean, you could. I wouldn't ever. It'd be weird. Yeah, I'll say it again. I've said it several times, but I'll say it again. Hey, good job, Andrew and John over there at Otter Creek. I know they rub a lot of people the wrong way, just like any other. I think any brand that's doing really disruptive stuff in the market is going to rub people the wrong way. I think they're doing good stuff, and so thanks for trusting us to perform the work. Looking forward to seeing more from them. And I'm also looking forward to see what the Infinity can do on other platforms. I mean, I think you just gave AK people some hope with this thing. I think if you're an AK person, Lord knows AK people need hope. I love you guys. I'm just kidding. I love you, AK people. Let's move into topic 2. Talk about this Cat Ben situation here at time of 46 minutes and 58 seconds. Man, I'm so glad we could get that Infinity talk down. I know it's been a minute. People are probably going crazy. This AK, all three of you AK guys out there. I'm kidding, man. I'm gonna walk out of my house one day, and there's just gonna be a bunch of AK people in ski masks. Put me in like a black panel van. Topic 2: Sound Signature Review 6205. Combat Application Technologies Cat Ben on the subcompact Beretta 21A Bobcat. Rimfire's back. Every once in a while, we do this. This people really want to see Rimfire. This is a compact silencer. Everyone wants to put small silencers on subcompact hosts until everything gets loud. So what does the Ben do? Does it offer relief from that seemingly pervasive paradox of people? Social media told me, Instagram pictures told me that I'm supposed to put a subcompact pistol on a silencer on a subcompact pistol, and everything is really quiet. The pictures were so pretty. They used my favorite photo editing application they shot in RAW format. I'm teasing, but so what does the Ben do? Does it actually give you this performance instead of the make-believe time that we've seen? I think you look at today's report, you're going to see, and there's a bonus, but wait, there's more. There's a bonus PEW-SOFT HD Hazard Map in there. I just put it in there. So this is the intro talk for the report published with the podcast. It'll be live when we publish the episode, or it'll be live after the episode in the morning, like 0700 or something like that, Central. This little Beretta Bobcat, great little high pressure test host, and I can't wait we'll go deep next week or wherever we do it. But this intro, what do I want to say? I want to say that little Beretta Bobcat, it's definitely small. It's definitely used in silencer marketing all the time on the gram. Folks, they want to show these little tiny suppressed 22 setups all the time. And they want to like ooh and ah about, oh, that's so cool. And it is cool because like who doesn't want to suppress a tiny pistol to have lethality in your pocket? That's amazing. So we thought when we started when we published the first reports in the Silencer Sound Standard in 2020, I wanted to show you extremes of 22. So what we showed you a bolt action long barrel, and then we showed you a little Beretta Bobcat. Literally, the second report published in the Standard in 2020 was the rugged Oculus. And in that report, you saw the Oculus in its long and short configurations. The long Oculus was 5 1/4 inches long. The short was 3 1/4 inches long. And we all saw, finally, why the short configuration of the Oculus was loud on a pistol. Everyone that actually shot one actually knew. And by the way, if you're keeping score, that's my personal rugged Oculus that we started the Standard with. It's the most tested silencer at PEW-Science. It's one of the silencers we used to develop the Standard and make sure it worked. We've tested that thing 100 million times. And I knew how loud it was in the short config on a pistol. But no one in the world told you that. Nobody selling the silencers told you in 2020. I can assure you. Use the Internet Wayback Machine thing if you want. Go look what people were. Go look and see what the dealers selling them were and the distributors were saying, and go look at all the social media. How much advertising you had with the short configuration of the silencer on a pistol, and you want to tell me that was what you would want to shoot with a yard pop in the backyard? Okay. No. So in 2020, we showed you real data, and I think that report was pivotal for the state of practice in general. No one had shown you that before, ever. And now you look at this thing. Now we're in 2020, end of 2025. You look at this cat Ben. You know, they put out the SR, which is their full size 22 can. Whenever that was, we have a report on the website. That SR is 5.6 inches long, which is longer than Oculus, and it's quiet as heck on whatever you want to put it on. Well, this Ben is way different. It's 4.28 inches long, so it's like almost 25% shorter than the SR. Now they increased the diameter by 0.2 of an inch, but to 0.2 inches. So it's 1.2 or whatever. So it's fatter than the SR by a little bit, sure, but it's much shorter. It's not quite as short as the short Oculus, but it's the next shortest rimfire silencer we've tested. I think the shortest one we've tested is 5 inches. This one's 4.2. Okay, so it's getting short. So how does it do? Is the question. The $1 million question. Have they cracked this code of short rimfire silencer on a short barrel pistol, which is the proving ground? We're not cheating things, guys. We're using hosts that matter. I mean, we think it's stupid to even test bolt gun 22 now, just because I want to show you what matters. So how does it do? I think it does better than we thought it would. It does better than PEW-Science thought it would. We did not have high hopes. When I saw they were doing a 4.2 inch silencer, I was like, for rimfire, I was like, oh, okay. Because one of my favorite things to do with a rimfire is like a Beretta 21 or a Beretta 71. So when I see a short silencer, I'm like, oh my God, are you going to make me have a loud thing? So I was kind of like, oh my God. But then we tested it. Yeah, so I mean, I kind of like these rimfire reports. We're kept them really short and to the point so far, and I think you guys are going to get a kick out of this one. A lot of folks like running these tiny rimfire pistols, on their, little life card. You've seen those? A little life card is a little foldable 22 single shot pistol. I have one of those. I put like an old AAC Element 2 on it to do some yard pops with my dad like a long time ago. It was fun. Those are cool. I think with this, I'm happy the Ben's here because it's good to know there are short silencers out there that can actually deliver decent signature suppression. I think in the case of the Ben, it's actually more than decent. It's really doing well. The direct thread model, of which it's because I don't think they're going to do anything else. I think they're all direct thread, half 28, so half inch, 28 threads per inch per typical, 3D printed titanium. It's less than 4 ounces. I think it's 3.8. I think it's a little heavier than the SR, but it's the diameter. The way they did it. I think you're really adding material and you're changing the weight distribution. It's still really light, but it is a little heavier than the SR. And again, our next talk will go technical, so not to get too technical, but I will give you a little technical tidbit here and a reminder. An important thing to understand, and something longtime PEW-Science readers and podcast listeners already understand, is that truncating the length of a silencer is a big performance hurdle. Making a silencer shorter is the best way to handicap it in performance, and you're going to cut it off at the knees, literally. And the Ben uses a similar surge bypass implementation that you saw in the Cat SR, but the diameter is scaled up and 24% shorter. So you're really changing the capabilities of the system. It is a completely different silencer than the SR. I would not assume it's like an SR because it's really not. It is a different silencer with different performance. However, as you are going to see in the report, it does share some similarities, and it has a lot of the good stuff that the SR does in it. And like, for example, consistency is one thing you're really going to like. Now there's a little more FRP, but again, you're 4.2 inches long. A really important thing, and this is just, you always need to realize this when we're showing you this stuff. A really important thing to keep in mind is that this test is on a short barrel semi-auto Beretta 21A. I keep saying that. It is not a long barrel bolt gun. The Beretta separates the men from the boys when it comes to rimfire suppression. So you're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's not much ugly here with the Ben, but there are some things that the SR does that the Ben simply can't do. And that's due to the length. And that's too bad, so sad that physics wins the game. Say it with me. Physics doesn't care about your brand. I don't care. Okay? This is just the realities. And we're going to show you the good, bad, and the ugly no matter what silencer it is. And I will say, in summary, it is really interesting performance. I think it's going to be somewhat surprising to people just how well this thing does on this host. For the length. And since we literally just launched Section 8 of the standard and we have been reading people's requests, people have been making public requests about what they want to see with the hazard maps, right? And what they wanted us to show next. We figured, well, okay, we're testing out the code with some different hosts. We just finished PEW-SOFT HD 2.2.3 the other day. We are already 2 revisions past the original public release version. We figured, heck, why not? Let's do a hazard map for this test. I'm not sure we're going to do it one for every report, but since we had some time and the hazard maps are so new, I kind of want to maintain that momentum and show you some. I thought it'd be cool to see. And since this is a semi-auto pistol test, I think this is really going to start to illustrate pistol suppression and why folks really might be misunderstanding the hazards. I think some of you folks might be misunderstanding the hazards. And so this is a 22 silencer. You're going to see what you see, and you're going to put the hazard map in there with a link to it. I think it'll probably be 8.1.2. And I think then when we do some 9mm pistol silencer hazard maps later, I think you're really going to see some complicated stuff and why this testing is so valuable. And I do think the hazard maps are going to kick this up a notch. This is cool, really powerful. With the Ben hazard map specifically, I think it's going to be cool for you to see just how far you have to be away to be safe if you're shooting around your kids or something. And they don't have ears on or something. And after all, this is a rimfire silencer. People love to take the little rimfire silencers to a campground and they're shooting around their friends and buddies. Well, how far do you have to be away from something like this? How quiet is it? This one's pretty quiet, but it's not the only one that exists. There are other short silencers that you could shoot on the Beretta 21A that wouldn't be as quiet, wouldn't be as safe. How does that look to you? I know you have the suppression rating, but how does it look visually in space? Please let me know your feedback. I think these hazard maps have helped me maybe, and so far the feedback was pretty universally positive that we got 2 weeks ago when we dumped this on you. So let me know what you think about this one. It's kind of cool. I mean, because so far you've seen Mark 18. Now you're about to see something completely different. The colors are you're like, oh, those colors are different. Like, they are different. The risk is different. So this is going to be the first report in Section 6 to have a Section 8.1 hazard map published concurrently with it. I think we have a mechanism where, and also we'll have a silencer hazard map brief in Section 8.1 with it. So you'll have a sister report tied to it. And when I say hazard map brief, the hazard map brief, it's going to be a completely different article than this Ben report, but it's going to be 3 paragraphs, really quick. The hazard map, done. Hazard map and suppression rating scale, done. And that way you'll have something in 8.1 to populate, and we'll kind of see how this progresses. It'll be cool. We're just testing this out. This is a new thing for us. Breaking routine is weird because we're super crazy. So breaking routine is weird, but let us know. We're testing it out. I think Section 8 should bleed into the other sections as time and purpose allows. So this is what you're seeing. You're seeing Section 8 bleed into Section 6 a little bit. So we're just like you'll see Section 7 bleed into Section 6 when sometimes in these reports you see us mention the rankings. Yeah, I mean everything. This ecosystem is evolving. It's cool. Okay. So both of these things, you're going to get this report 6.205, and you're going to get the Cat Ben silencer hazard map brief 8.1.2. They're going to be live at 0700 Central Wednesday morning. Tomorrow for me, today for you. And please enjoy. Please stay safe. Stay warm. Drink hot chocolate. Go hunting. Spend time with your loved ones. And we'll be back next time to speak technically about the Ben. In the meantime, you have a hazard map you can share with everyone. Spread the word about Pew Science and how awesome it is. It's all thanks to your help. I will talk with you folks again soon. All right, bye.